Mam za sobą specjalnego gościa. Gościa z Niemiec. Jest to pan Christoph Rossner. Osoba niesamowita, taka jak wszyscy nasi prelegenci, która od ponad 30 lat prowadzi badania nad konopiami. Jest także jedynym Niemcem, który wystąpił przed Światową Organizacją Zdrowia. Niestety. Występował dlatego, że prowadził badania z ponad 65 profesorami z całego świata właśnie na temat konopi. I opowie wam dzisiaj o swoich doświadczeniach. Zapraszam. Oddaję głos.
Hello. You see, my name is Christoph Rossner, and I was invited to the 40th and 41st ECDD conference in Geneva in Switzerland from the WHO, the World Health Organization, and I was the one and only person from Germany was invited to this important congress. And I was very excited about, and we get very, very important information about cannabis and the behavior of the World Health Organization about cannabis. And the World Health Organization will turn her mind about cannabis. And we had big discussions there, and the UN and the 1961 Single Convention is a very big and important, how to say, it's the law international, it bans cannabis. And we have there shell use 5 and 6, and this shell use include the cannabis plant and the resins and every production from cannabis. And I explained to the WHO that it's not only the medicine and the drug is important for cannabis use, it's important to put the whole plant in the focus. We have the chance to do with cannabis bioplastic, we can do with it medicine, we can make with them energy, and we can do several plastic and plaster forms we can use in a way that not harms or hurts our nature. And that's very important. When we use petrochemical substances to produce plastic or some other stuff, it is not biologic, and it's not. It goes not in the nature. It's in a microplastic way, and we have it in the water, in the sea, and everywhere. And I had the chance to explain this to the WHO, and the WHO understands the importance of hemp, and they understand why they have to change their mind. And in our second meeting, it was the 31st ECDD conference, we had some very important persons there. They explained to this committee from the WHO what's wrong with the laws about cannabis. And I have 5 points, and I explain these 5 points here. And the first point is the deadly dose of cannabis is 4 grams of pure THC per kilogram copper weight. It means that we have 270 grams of pure THC to kill one person. You have salt to cook, there it's 120 grams. And when you have it in a plant form and you want to smoke a deadly dose, you have to smoke 25 kilos of 10% THC holding cannabis. It's not possible to kill itself with cannabis. There's no function. And that's a very important point that was brought to the WHO. And then we had another big step, and that's the how to say it? It's the little story about cannabis and the resisting part. We have in in USA in the 30s of the last century, a very big industry. They were very interested about to ban cannabis, and one of this person was Mr. DuPont. And Mr. DuPont runs a firm. They make nylon, Drulon, Perlon, and many other stuff made from petrol, from earth oil. And this company, and especially Mr. DuPont, has very much interest that the cannabis is not used as a stuff to make earth oil products with it. And that's where he asked his niece was married to a man. He was named Mr. Anslinger. And Mr. Anslinger was the founder and the leader of the CIA. And the CIA was founded in USA to ban alcohol, and they had a prohibition about alcohol. And Mr. Anslinger runs the CIA over 13 years, and he had to ban alcohol. But after the ban of alcohol, they get legal alcohol in USA back, and they had a problem. They had 65,000 persons, they want ban alcohol and get money for it. And then they decided, oh, we have to transform the CIA, and we have to looking after new stuff we can use to bring power over people. And that was the racistic part of cannabis. Mr. Anslinger tells stories that black people, black men raping women when they smoking marijuana. Chinese people are going to make murder and go crazy with knives and chop everybody they go around. And this racistic stories would tell about cannabis the last 80 years. And that's the only fact why we have a ban on cannabis. It's a racistic thing, and it is formed from the Nazis in the 1930s of the last century. We have in Germany a BTMG, that's our law about drugs. And this drug law is completely taken from the Nazis and put in our new law system, and it bans cannabis, and that's the work of Mr. Anslinger. Mr. Anslinger was then, till the 50s in the USA, a very important person in the CIA, and he runs everything there. And then he started a new job. He get a new job in the international behavior. He goes to the UN, and then he was the former or the president of the how to say, from the 1961 Single Convention. The 1961 Single Convention includes the ban, the worldwide ban of cannabis, and Mr. Anslinger employed it into the laws, in the international laws. And that was a problem. With this system he builds new, he get a chance to ban every nature drug to handle worldwide. We cannot handle opium, we cannot handle cannabis. International law bans all this stuff. It bans all natural drugs. It includes cocaine also, the cocaine plant. And every plant is a healing plant. And everybody knows it's a very important healing plant, also cannabis. And with this law, this international law, is the ban of cannabis succeeded. And we have a big problem with that. And now the WHO changed the mind. We have brought the information over scientists, over the behavior from Mr. Anslinger to the control board, and they read it, and they get this information. And they get the information too that cannabis makes no psychosis. Cannabis heals psychosis. Cannabis makes no psychosis. And there is a study that shows it very, very exactly. There is no problem. We have as a specimen 100 persons, from 100 persons, 6 or 8 persons get surely a psychotic effect in her lifetime. And if you have the control group of the consumers of cannabis, there are between 2.6 and 3.3 persons. They get a psychotic effect. It's the half of the normal healthy people. So it shows cannabis has no bad influence to our psychosis. The most consumers are uses as a drug against her psychotic effects or her fear or her, and that's the important part, what was in the WHO as a very, very big sign. They saw that the police and the criminal behave about cannabis is one of the biggest parts and gives the most people the bad feeling. They are always under control. They are always under the fear to get caught from the police. And when you use a substance for your psychosis, and you know it helps you, but you know when you are caught with it, you can get in jail or can get in jail. You have a very big problem with your physical health and with the psychosis. And then starts that we have to change this. When we can change the behavior of the law, then have we the chance to change the behavior of the people they use cannabis. When we have a law that says cannabis is like tomatoes, everybody on earth can grow it and is no problem with it. We have no criminality, we have no people they have to look after it in bad places, and we have no people that can handle them other stuff. They can say, here, I have no cannabis, but I have some heroin here for you. It's good, or something like this, or something like that. The problem is not people who use cannabis will take heroin, but when you buy heroin in a place, then you can get their cannabis too, or in another way. When you want to buy cannabis, you can learn to know people that can give you other bad stuff. And that's the problem, and the WHO sees this and thinks about new ways of the behavior about this. And the other important part is that the WHO looks for a cheap and very effective medicine for the people in the countries they have not much money. In South Africa or in South America, Middle East and India, there's a big problem with tramadol and opiates. And the WHO had seen that there is a big problem with tramadol in South America and South Africa. And they have the idea, or they want to go a step further to ban cannabinoids, to ban opioids like tramadol, and want to bring in the cannabinoids. And I hope that they will change this very fast. And the president from the WHO tells us in his speech that it's so important for them now that they will get pressure on it and will bring a result till the mid of December for the message that we need from the WHO. I have not the official paper. The official paper will come in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. But when this paper is written, this paper will go to the UN, to New York. And I think they will take care of it, and they will read it very, 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 very sure, and they will read it very safe, and then I think they will change the law. And it will take 1 and 2 years, it's a long term, but the WHO had understand about the problem the ban of cannabis makes. And I think this is a very important thing. And I have no official informations. That's the problem. I can give you no official paper who shows, yeah, we from the WHO make this step and that and that and that. But if there are some questions, I will, you can ask and I can tell you something when I know the answer. That was my suggestion to you. Is there any question? That's no question. Okay, that's sad. There's no question about the cannabis thing until formal laws.
How do you think this will evolve in European Union? The issue to grow medical one.
I think that will happen in the next years. There will.
How many years?
I think it will happen in the next 2 years that they make the change here in Europe. Yeah. Yeah. Luxembourg, you have to know, yesterday Luxembourg, the Luxembourg Parliament changed the law for cannabis.
Really?
Yeah, really. And they quieted it. It's not.
And that you can grow there in home.
Yeah, you can do. They have they have completely legalized it.
Wow.
Yeah, and Spain is coming. Italy is coming, and Holland will do it the same, I think. And these countries have waited for Canada, and everybody looks after Canada and sees, whoa, what is happening in Canada? Nice, very good. Yeah. That's Canada, not Uruguay. You have a problem with Uruguay. Uruguay is a socialistic state. Yeah.
You don't need to make some research. Look at Canada. They have research.
Yeah, I know, but the problem in Germany is we have an insurance system, and the insurance system can only take the drug in her program when the drug is proved for a special in a special case. We know it is for this disease, we have it for epilepsy or something other. But we have to bring the proof, and that's the important part. When we can grow it everywhere, no problem. But then we have to bring the proof too. It's important for the patients that they know this strain or this strain or this strain works with this and works with this perfect. And I met Dr. Frank from California. He's one of the patients and one of the oldest workers with cannabis, official. He's very important for the law change in California in 1997. He was the founder there with some other doctors and some other patients. And he was there, he was the guy who figured out the poisonous of cannabis. He told the WHO that 25 kilos are deadly if you smoke it in one puff. And that it was for us very, very interesting. We're sitting there and nobody is clapping hands in this high court there, but nobody can hold his hand still. He told this, and everybody stands up and gives him applause. It was crazy, but some other people were sitting there. Some manager from Pfizer, they make the tramadol and something, and I saw his face, that Dr. Frank told the 25 kilo thing, and his face was this. And that was important for me. And it was on the highest place in a proved situation, a scientific proved way that cannabis is not deadly. And that's very important. And in Canada, we have the approval, you say, for everything. We have a world record in dabbing with 38 grams pure dab with 80% THC in 10 minutes. That's the world record in dabbing. Where's the poisonous? Okay, make a hook and took it away. And that's point for point, pops up. And like you say, we have studies with it now. And that's the international thing. And the WHO is international. And that's why they have to take look and take care after these studies. And that's why we brought the studies to them. And now they make the decision. And the board is 12 professors and 12 scientists. And the important part is 6 from this board are from Canada. And 1 from Israel, 1 from Germany, and the other from other countries. That's why I'm for sure that we get a legalization in the next coming months or in the next year. This committee of these 12 persons makes the decision about...
They came from the WHO.
Yeah.
A recommendation for other countries.
Yeah, right.
No problem with that.
Yeah, right. That was the thing we made in the 40th and the 41st ECCD conference. That was we have brought every science project, every science approval, every project. We all know we were 285 NGOs there, and I was the only from Germany, I told before. And the others was from Harvard Professor Hill was there. He read a very important book about cannabis for the United States. And then were some professors from Oxford there. And we had a historian from Oxford, Christopher Hellman. And he told all the board the story about the thing with Mr. Enslinger. And that is scientific and historical proved. That's a fact. The WHO cannot say, oh, it's a lie or a story. That's not happening. That's proved. And that's very, very good for the whole thing. They see how was the work, and our papers we brought in tell them the facts about. My paperwork is, you can read that when we had not the involvement of Mr. Enslinger and of Mr. Dupont, we had much more plastic made the last 100 years from hemp. The first plastic ever made, this was bakelit. I don't know, maybe some of you know this name. That's bakelit. Yeah, and yeah. Very strong material, and the first bakelit ever built in Germany on the world was in Kentucky, 1947, and it was made from hemp fiber and hemp oil. It was an Easter. It is biodegradable. You can cut it in little pieces in very powder, and then the powder disappears. And not like the plastic makes microplastic or microfibers or fibers. Sorry, it makes mini. Yeah, right. And when we had not this massive involvement of Mr. Enslinger, we had the chance the last 100 years to have 80% of all plastic made from hemp, and in a very natural way. But now we have the fact that the sea and the rivers and the earth is contaminated with microplastic, and that's a fact. And now the WHO had to decide and think another way. They made a decision 1968, and 1986 in Ottawa. And that's where my paperwork comes in. In my declaration I brought into the WHO, I explained them her own work. I explained them, you make a decision, 86, you were in Ottawa together with Russia, with Germany, with USA, and everybody signs this letter that the WHO has every power on earth to bring and to save the planet over the year 2000. The planet Earth is our habitat, and the WHO has to save this. And that was the declaration made 1986. And in this paper, I brought in the hemp team. I told them, if you want to save the planet, if you want to save the people here, if you want to save the habitat, if you want to save the life forms on this planet, you have to legalize cannabis. That's the only way. And yeah, I was the only person there who told them this. But I was the only person from Germany, and that was my big joker there. I was standing there, and when I was one of 50 from Germany, nobody read my declaration there. But I was standing at the 40th ACDD conference, and Mr. Rossen Popov stepped to me, shook my hand, and gave me his card. And Mr. Rossen Popov is the second deputy chief from the ENCB in Vienna. He is the man, he is very important in the decision about the ban of cannabis or not. And he asked me, Mr. Rossner, I read your declaration. That's very important. And is this true? And I told him, yeah, it's true and it's proved. And then he told me, wow, if it's so, you have to come in November. And that was the 41st ECD conference. And I was not for sure. He told me that in the door and says, wow, it's so nice, you have to come. Okay, nice. And yeah, then I get the invitation and I was there and I got the proof they had listened to me. They had read my declaration and now they make a decision about it. And that's very, very, very important for all of us. The rest of the declaration in the WHO was only for cannabis as medicine. THC, CBD, strains, flowers, but nobody puts in the whole plant for the whole thing. And that was my little thing I could do there. And I'm very happy about it. But I had very interesting reactions. Somebody asked me, especially doctors in Germany asked me, why are you at the WHO? You're not a doctor. Say, yo, I'm not a doctor, but I'm a technician, and I know what we can do with this plant. It's much important. You can make power with it, and this power you make is directly made from the CO2 from the air. Oh, right. Oh, that's very interesting, and that's the point. Nobody knows about the power of cannabis. Nobody knows about the world healing effect of cannabis. Everybody knows you can use it as a drug and you can use it as medicine. Okay, that's nice. Okay, yeah, every drug is a medicine and every medicine is a drug if you use it in another way. Okay, but if you bring in the discussion the thing that you can make energy with it, and you can, with this energy, reduct effective and in effect the CO2 from the air, then you have a very good standing.
And build building, whatever.
Yeah, you can build buildings with it. You can make everything. We had a special system. You make pellets with the hemp, and then you can put the pellets in a pyrolytic system. The pyrolytic system transforms the biomass of the hemp into carbonic components, and you can this carbon components bring together with water steam, and you can make earth oil in a biologic way. You can make diesel with it, and you can make everything with it. And this plastic, you know, the bakelit and everything. And when we go this direction, and I think we have to do this, and we have now in Poland the climate discussion round from the World Health Organization too, and from the UN, and I think when it comes through to them in the next half year or next year, I will do my best. I can fight for it. Then they have a chance and have a tool to bring this in the discussion. And when you bring this tool in the discussion internationally, we get a big resonance of this. We get a really, really big resonance of this, and everybody knows, wow, it's not too bad, the cannabis thing. It can help us. Oh, it's maybe a holy plant. It's maybe a healing plant. And when we look to the Bible, the plants are given from God to us to help us. And when we use these plants in the right way, we can do everything right. And when we do the bad thing with it, we ignore it or we work against it, then I think it's a bad way and it harms our whole planet. And it harms our whole planet system, our whole life form here. Not only the people or the man here. The whole thing is in danger and we can change. And hemp is the way we have to do. And when we can change this in the next 2 or 3 years internationally, and I'm looking forward to do this, and I know we can do this. We have so many friends all over the world from the hemp plant. Everybody wants to make this. Everybody wants to give the plant a little chance in his garden, in his greening house, in his flower pot, maybe. And when we do this, we have a basic to help effective to reduce CO2 from the air. And I think this is the biggest and important thing to take the ban from cannabis. And we have the chance to do with illegal cannabis plants. I know this cannabis plants from some friends from USA or from some friends from South Africa. They have grown plants in half a year. These plants have a stem size like this, 80 to 100 millimeters. And the plant has a height of 5 meters, 4.50 meters or 5 meters. It's a little tree. But this little tree grows in a half year, in 6 months. And when you go to South America, Middle East, or to Africa, and to give them this plant without the ban, we cannot grow these special plants. We can only grow some allowed hemp plants. They have low THC, but they have not the biomass other hemp sorts have. And when we bring this to Africa, and we bring this to South America, we can give them an energy source that helps us to reduce the CO2 from the air. And this helps them to get fresh water. That's the other effect. If you harvest cannabis, you have to dry it to make pellets with it. And when you have steam, you have clear water after it. It's distillated. And that's the other part. You can earn from 1 hectare cannabis around 7.5 to 9.0 cubic meters of water, clear water. And you have 2 tons of carbon from the same place. And when I think I have carbon to heat and water to cook, that's the best thing. And that's what Africa and the other places need. And they can help us to reduce the CO2 from the air. They have much space there. They have burned down and harvested the rainforest. And they have big, deadly areas there. There's bad to harvest. You have no chance there. But cannabis is a pioneer plant. Cannabis can grow in places where the ground is not good. You have contaminations in the ground. You have poison in the ground. You have radioactivity in the ground. You have earth oil in the ground, or you have diesel in the ground. No problem. You put hemp on it, you grow it 4 years there, and how deep the roots go to the ground, so deep makes the hemp, the earth, clean. It filters the earth. And after it, you have a clean area and can grow there crop or grow there some other food plants. But food plants are not necessary. If you grow hemp, you have everything you need. Hemp includes 20 amino acids they need our body. Hemp includes 44% of protein, yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, we have 44% protein in it. And we don't need meat. We have we have hemp, and we can make with it oil. We can make everything with it. And when we bring hemp in a new way, in a new position, we can reduce the poisonous in the ground, we can reduce the CO2 in the air, we can bring clear water to the people, and we can help them stay in their own countries. And nobody wants to leave his own country. Nobody wants to go away from his home. And that's a big problem on the world. We have immigration and refugees everywhere. We have political systems that use this fear about refugees. And when we bring the countries in the countries, they have the refugees the chance to stay there and have a clear power source and clear water and enough to food. They have no need to move. And that's very important. And I think that is one of the important things hemp can do. It's much worthier like the smoking or the medicine part. It's one part of it. Okay, it's okay. I like to smoke sometimes. But the more important part is that we can heal the planet and we can reduce the danger of wars. When we reduce the danger of wars, we have altogether a much better solution for the future, and we can make a much more and interesting things. We have not only to look, where get we our energy? Where can we put earth oil? Where can we put this? When we have hemp, Holland has really big space. Holland has Poland has very, very big space, and it has the idea about growing hemp. In Poland, it's very popular to grow hemp over the last in the socialistic system. There was hemp very common here to grow, and it was used for fiber and the bakelit. I know the bakelit telephones, and they came from everywhere, and the most was produced in Poland. Yeah, and it's very interesting. But it goes back. The earth oil, I call them earth oil mafia or the petrochemical mafia. They are international, so hard on the work to ban cannabis, and they know that cannabis can burn them. They know this. Excuse me. They know this for sure, and that's why they have involved the last 80 years to ban this plant as a deadly or dangerous poisonous drug. And that's the big banner over everything, and nobody sees the topics and highlights under it. And we have to change this.
No one starts from heroin.
Yeah, that's the problem. Nobody starts with cannabis. Nobody starts. Everybody starts with sugar. It's sweet and nice, and everybody likes it, and everybody wants it, and it makes sick too. But that's not the point. The point is that we have to inform our politicians and our heads of thinking about the power of hemp. And I do this till 30 years. I get problems with it. I had the police after me. I had big problems with it. I run an illegal dispensary in Germany over 12 years. I had many patients. I had over 200 patients. And I made salvias, I made tinctures, I make extracts, I made pills with hemp, and I made this illegal. And that's the problem. I helped many people. I had their patients with cancer, I had patients with neurodermitic, epilepsy, everything. And the start for me to fight for cannabis was the death of my sister. My sister has very bad epilepsy, and she gets schizophrenia from it, and then she makes a suicide. And half year later, I get the information, that was 1988, that a friend of mine tried illegal cannabis and he has epilepsy too. And after that, he had no epilepsy more. He tried it over 2 years, and then he made base jumping with and bungee jumping, and he was really nice guy with many extreme sports. But when you ask him, crazy guy, oh no, I'm epileptican, but I smoke, I have no problem. And that was for me the point to say, wow, no, we have to change this. And then 1 year later, I get the information that our government had till 1974 the information that cannabis has a function about epilepsy. It was over for me. That's what the starting point to say now. Now is for me, my point, I have to bring cannabis to another way. We have to legalize it. And so I started. I started with a little thing, then we grow bigger. Then I founded some companies, and then I founded 4 years ago the Bunker Phytopharma Development. It was the first firm in Germany. They had the 2 steps to get the allowance for the license to grow cannabis for a science project. But before we get this paper, the B-Farm, it's our health care from the government, and they told me, you will get the license for growing cannabis, but you, Mr. Rossner, have to go out of the firm. You was too criminal in your history. And my criminality was to help patients with cannabis. And now they use this against me, but it was no problem for me to get out of the firm. A good friend of mine is now the CEO there, and I'm going out there. And now I make my job. That's why I'm sitting here. And why I go to the WHO, and I go to our parliament, I go to our different parliaments in the Bavaria, in Germany, and everywhere. I was invited from every party in Germany, and every party in Germany listened to me, and the most parties expect the CDU and CSU are now in a change. We have in Bavaria the CSU. They are very restrict against cannabis in Germany. They are one of the hardliners against cannabis. But I was invited in the government in Bavaria, and I explained them in the health congress in 1.5 an hour of the benefits of cannabis. And after the speech, they told me, Mr. Rossner, thank you very much, we will help you. It's very important for the patients to get cannabis as a free drug. And then I get a meeting with our German drug queen. This is Mrs. Mortler. She is from the government, and she's a drug specialist from our government. But she is very against cannabis, and she has no idea about cannabis. She comes from she's a farmer's daughter, and she has very experience about growing crop or growing or make something with potatoes, but she has no idea about cannabis. But this person is in Germany one of the fighters against cannabis. But I had the chance it took 1.5 years to get a termin with her. And then I had 45 minutes to explain her about the dangers of cannabis. And after I was finished, it took over a half year, but then she made a press release. And in this press release, she explained to everybody, we have to change our behavior about cannabis. And I think we can make a catalog with some, you pay 50 or 100 or 200 euros when you have cannabis, or you can make a therapy. And so started in Portugal, the Portuguesian model. The Portuguesian model was the first model in Europe that discriminates drugs and makes it happen that you can in a very short way, some help with professionals that can look, have you a really problem with drugs or smoking you sometimes? And that's the steps they make, we will make now in Germany. And I think it will be faster that we know or will we have in mind. But when the WHO makes his change, then we can change in every country. And then has every country, and that's very important for Poland and everything. I know in Germany that when we get a call from the WHO and they tell us cannabis is now out of the 5th and 6th schedule from the single convention, then we have some voices in Germany that say, no, we do this not. No, it's not our traditional. It's not, we have beer, we have no hemp. That's the part then. But then we have the chance, and then we have the big chance to go to Den Haag and go for the International Supreme Court and go for this right. And after the change is this possible, then we have the change in our hands, and I think we can do it. And in Germany, I had a meeting, and that's very successful for me. I had a meeting with some persons. They are the brewers. They make the beer in Germany. They are the beer lobby. And they were in Canada and USA. And I saw, Coca-Cola and Coons are starting business in Canada with THC and CBD infused drinks. Oh, it kills beer. It kills beer, and it will happen. I know when you have THC or CBD infused drinks, you drink it and you get a rush, and you get healthy. What will you more? You get a healthy rush, and that's important. And I think this is the way we will go. If the beer brewers understand the importance of fun drinks with cannabis, they will change. They will change really quick. They have the WHO has brought us a letter, and in this letter it was from 2016, and in this letter was a nice list, and the beer drinkers in the Western countries are shrinking. We had 2,500 million beer drinkers in 2011. And after the ban of cannabis in some states falls, we have now 188 million beer drinkers and 2,200 cannabis smokers, a million cannabis smokers. We have changed. And that's why I think we're on the way to win. And the WHO had a very important thing in the paperwork there. The Muslimic and Islamic states are not drinking beer. They have a ban on alcohol, but they have no ban on cannabis. And it's very popular to smoke cannabis there. And in Israel, I think a half year or a year ago, there was a very important rabbi, and he told cannabis is kosher. And now they have no problem with it. Cannabis is kosher, it is a plant, you can use it with any transformation, and that's why it's kosher. And they used it till 25 years for seniors and old people. And they have very big success in Israel. And the problem in Germany is we cannot use foreign science projects or science knowledge in our courts. We had the decision. They took 1.5 years to get the allowance for one English-spoken study that we can translate it and to bring it into the German court. And we had to do an extra thing with an extra court to get the allowance that we can use it. And it is so difficult, and I don't know how it is to behave in Poland, but I think it's the same. Or how is it in Poland with the laws about cannabis? Is this very restrict, or have you a chance to grow at home? Or
No, below 0.2, yes, you can.
can you buy seeds in Poland?
Yeah.
Seeds, yes, seeds, they are allowed.
They call
Which
the collectioner seed.
yeah.
Okay.
That's how they...
That's interesting. Like
You
Austria.
put it to the ground.
Yeah.
Of course, in the water and other things.
Okay. Well, that's interesting.
When you see the green, it's illegal.
Oh, it's illegal. Okay, you can. Okay, that's interesting. And in Austria, it's a little bit different, but they have allowed the seeds and the plants only for show plants. You cannot harvest it. You can only to look after it, and it's a nice plant. Okay, you can smell on it, but you cannot harvest it. If you harvest it, you have a problem. You can grow it, but not harvest. Like Switzerland. Switzerland is the same thing. You can grow it, but not harvest it. But now they changed a little bit in Switzerland. They had pushed up the THC to 1 point. Yeah. And that's very interesting. I was there at the 12th of November at the 41st ECDD conference, and I was going there into a shop and bought some of the CBD weed there, and it's very interesting. It's very tasty, and it helps very good. I had a problem with my shoulder. That's why I'm a patient. I'm a allowed patient in Germany. I have the license to buy cannabis, and I had a very big accident. A big steel part falls down from 6 meters high directly on my shoulder, and this was a big problem. My arm was paralyzed over a half a year, and cannabis bring the arm back. Now I can move it. And if I tell this some doctor or some specialists, they all said, "Oh, very interesting. How did you make this?" And when I say I made it with cannabis, "Oh, don't tell me." And and that's our problem in Germany too. We have the possibility and the allowance from the government to use it as a medicine, but the doctors don't want to write you a receipt. Yeah.
They put the law the same.
The same.
If you have a license, you can buy it when you have the prescription.
Yeah, but
there's no doctor and there's no...
yeah, that's the.
Everyone can.
Yeah.
But no one.
And you have the same situation here.
Yeah. But they make a dead law, actually, because they put so many certification on the weed itself. You can never buy it anywhere.
You cannot buy it. Can you import it? Can you import it from Canada or? Then you can get it from an international pharmacy. Then, that's the same. That's tricky. That's very tricky. Yeah. And how is it with dronabinol or the synthetic or half synthetic THC or CBD? Illegal? Legal. Okay, you can use it. But the THC in pure form, you can get from a doctor, or have you no allowance there? It's the same with the flowers.
You can get receipt, but you cannot. But we have no company to supply. And in Poland, we cannot. We cannot allow the produce.
You have no cannabis agency now.
No.
Yeah, that's the basic. Yeah. Now I know this. That's international. That's international law.
You need something about 1 year to take the medicine. So
Yeah.
you die.
Now it's an international law. It's founded on the ENCB in Vienna, and that's the ban on cannabis. You need in your country a cannabis agency that you can run a business in your country with THC or with CBD flowers, and that's the basic for it. And is in Poland, have anybody an idea about, is there a planning for a cannabis agency, or is there no planning from the government to make this?
Think about it, because some company, I don't remember the name, from Canada,
Aurora?
about 3 weeks ago maybe 1 month ago, signed with government, allowed to bring the
flowers in.
to the Polish outlet. So it will change.
Yeah, that's nice. That's very good. Is this Aurora or Konopie or?
I can find them.
Yeah. Thank you. It's very interesting. Now that's very interesting.
Just a new one, something about 3 weeks ago.
Wow, thank you very much. That's good. That's new information for me. Now it's
For now it's only talking, but the company says we're ready to supply it.
wow. Yeah, that's good for Poland. I think there's a change running here when they.
Some two company another thing about it.
And have you some things on court running, on court, that they are some people are going to court to say we want to grow cannabis here in Poland for patients, or
Yeah, but it's difficult. It's a vodka country, so it's like in your country you have a beer, you have a vodka.
yeah, I know
That's
that's
the problem.
yeah.
Because this is a drug.
Yeah,
This is not a drug, it's a plant.
Yeah.
I'm not a dealer, I'm florist.
Yeah, right, yeah. It's tricky to explain. That's tricky to explain, and it's tricky to explain some people that alcohol is not a drug. That's very important. Yeah, it's
It's a lot. It's a lot because the produce of the liter of the ethanol, it costs in Poland about 5, maybe 6 zloty. But when you want to buy in the shop, it costs 100. So the marge is...
yeah, it's the same in Germany. Then we have tax 100%.
When they need to see that the problem is you cannot hide. It's a plan.
Yeah.
We know about the use this plant since 3,000 years before the Christ.
Yeah.
So you cannot change it. This is nature.
I had a nice discussion. Yeah, I had in Bavaria this discussion with, Bavaria beer is a synonym, and yeah, it's the same. Bavaria and beer is the same. And I had a discussion with the Bavarian government about the beer, and they told me, the beer is traditional, and we have it till 500 years here in Germany, till 1,000 years. And then I told him, that's wrong. Cannabis is older. We have found seeds over 5,600 years ago in Saxonia. And then you have to see this face of the people. What? They had cannabis seeds in Saxonia? 6,000 years, 5,600 years from here? Yeah, they have it. And they found it in a little bag made from Hemp's fibers. And they found inside flowers and seeds. And then in this round saw some guys from the police, the higher court, and these bags and the including why they have this. And in China they found it with pipes and in a grave of a shaman, and it's 3,000 before Christ. And there's a pipe inside, a little bag, and in this bag are flowers. And we know what we can do with this. And it's 6,000 years, 5,500 or 6,000 years old. And that's, we have to bring to our politicians. We have to show them no fear. No fear for cannabis. No fear, please. It's old and it's known and it's without any danger. It helps very well. And have you some organization in Poland? They run the legalization project for here, and can we talk later about it? I'm very interested about this. I have to look after contacts here in Poland. And if you have some questions, oh no, we have to cut. Sorry, if there's some questions, I'm here around, and you can ask me. No problem. Thank you for your ear.
Oh, that's the company name. The company name is Aurora.
Aurora? Yeah, right.
Cannabis.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, in the next few days, Aurora Deutschland GmbH send the product to.
That was my question. I heard something.
Release syndrome in Warsaw. They send
Yeah.
some material.
Yeah.
Aurora Deutschland.
Yeah, I heard something from them. That was my question. Or it is Aurora, then you will get it faster. The patient in Poland can look after a good future.
That was on the end of October. So that's
yeah, very good. Okay, thank you.